What's up, everybody?
Yeah, good evening.
Well, we knocked out the early beans.
You got them done.
Finished up last night, man. It was it wasn't terribly late, but it was so dusty. It's crazy whenever the wind stops. Like I can tell when a dew is coming. And actually, last night I thought we were going to luck up for a minute because while I was still cutting, man, it was a breeze blowing.
Just because it gets the dust out of there.
It gets the dust out of the way. Yeah, you can see. And that's why I was like, all right, for people that don't know.
Extremely dusty. I mean, it's.
Yeah, and for people that don't know, if you got a breeze at night, you typically don't have a big dew in the morning.
Right.
And so, I had gotten off the combine and was thinking that I think I was on the phone with somebody because I was waiting on a grain buggy. I was waiting on a truck to get there, and they were unloading to come and get me. I was full. And I was standing outside the combine, and I was like, man, there's a breeze blowing. I'll be able to, there ain't going to be no dew. And gosh, it wasn't 20 minutes later. You couldn't even see. I mean, Brock was with me. He was on the grain buggy. I was cutting beans, and I had loaded the buggy pretty good. And I told him, I'd radioed him, and I was like, if I can hold all these on the combine, then could be done. That'll be it. And I said, otherwise I may have to try to squeeze just a few more because I had just enough left. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to hold them all or have to try to really pack them on the buggy. And I knew I was going to finish it all. So I radioed him and was like, I don't know where you are, but you can head back up to the trucks. And hell, he was already at the trucks. Like he hadn't realized I was going to be full, but like I couldn't see anything. Like it was just solid dust. And I mean, that combine, it's got all kinds of like really great lights on it, but it's just, I'm like surrounded by.
So you need more of that like smart link GPS stuff that tells you exactly where the grain cart is. And
yeah, I knew. Well, we got it. We could link them because I'm running GPS on it.
And you got GPS on the grain cart too?
I don't, but I could.
Yeah.
I could put a monitor in there and we could do that. And I guess, then I could see the little grain cart on the screen.
Well, that's what, and I know nothing about any of this, but I've heard, mainly listening to other podcasts that got sponsors that do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And they talk about how neat that is. Like, man, that is badass.
It is. And you could actually even set your lines up in a way that the guy on the grain buggy could like push the button, turn on his auto steer, and it would run the line.
Auto steer, will it adjust speed and everything where his speed stays perfect with the combine?
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked. I don't know.
If they can't do it, I bet they could.
It'd be a matter of time. Yeah.
Now, technology's amazing.
The auto steer, man, that is something I never realized how awesome it was until I had it.
Well, I mean, it just, do you feel, I don't know what's the right way. Are you less like exhausted at the end of the day just because like, I guess planting would probably be the bigger deal.
Yeah.
Or because it's just.
Oh, definitely on planting. Yeah. Because my GPS was messing up in and out when I was planting. And so I was having to run the markers. And so
you're just constantly having to watch and, make every little adjustment.
Yeah. You are. And I'll tell you can, because planting is where it blew my mind. Like we had run auto steer and GPS on the sprayers. Like that we'd had that for a while. But I got the idea, man, I'm gonna finally get my auto steer stuff going on my planter tractor. So I bought it, and I mean GPS is crazy. Used it was $10,000. So like, that's why everybody ain't just running it, because it's, I mean, $10,000's still a chunk to bite off. But I bought that, put it on there. Oh, it felt like cheating because I had always planted with markers. And I mean, dude, you put the planter down and I can actually watch the monitor. I can really monitor what I'm doing.
Well, I've heard people talk about that, and even like driving, I don't know, I guess it's the Teslas that kind of almost can drive themselves.
Yeah.
They talk about how, when you're on like a long road trip, like you realize how much like energy it takes just to, be totally dialed in, which sounds kind of dangerous for you not to be.
Yeah,
I don't know that I fully trust the car. Yeah. But, people talk about how, you just, at the end of the day, you're you're a lot more relaxed because you hadn't been just constantly having to watch
Yeah.
15 different things.
It is like on the header or on the combine where you see the difference is you use the full header.
Right.
Because typically, you can, man, I don't care how good a guy is. Like you always hear the people that like kind of brag and be like, man, I can plant just as straight as GPS. You cannot. Like I have planted for 8 years. This was my 8th season. I've been with guys that have planted, like there's dudes that have worked with us that have planted a lot more years than that. No, they are not planting straighter than a GPS, especially in a long field. Because in a long field is where you like, that's when you're like, geez, man, like that's when you really, you think you're going really straight. And I'll tell you too, the guys that can plant really straight, they're not paying attention to the planter. So they're not really doing a good job.
Yeah, they're just staring at some object off in the
you
distance.
can't, if you want to plant super straight, you never take your eyes off of you pick out a tree like on the far end of the field and you never look around.
Of course, I don't have anything on any of, and I mean, I'm in tiny fields compared to a lot of y'all's are in, like in the hay field, especially like when I'm raking, I make it first pass the rake. I just try to make the straightest, longest run I can.
Do you pick out a tree or something?
Yeah. And I mean, I'm making like, these are relatively short runs and you get to the other end, or heck, a lot of times I'm not into the other end and I can tell how crooked I am. Like, dadgummit.
So you have to, so you rake your middle rows first and then come and do 2 outside rows? Is that what you normally do?
Depends. So usually I'll rake the whole field and then I'll make a pass around the outside.
Just one?
Yeah, because I'm just round baling it all. And
I got you.
Yeah, and then when I get in the field, I'll roll that outside row just so I'm not, every time I'm turning, I'm not dealing with that windrow. But yeah, it depends on the field because I mean, I've got some fields that are, some of them it's hard to even, I mean, they're as odd shaped as they could possibly be. And yeah, there's no way to get a straight shot anywhere. But
well, you know what they say about a crooked row?
What's that?
You get more yield in a crooked row.
That's right. You get more length in there. The more crooked it is.
Yeah. So that was like, I remember when I first started planting, man, some of my rows were so crooked. And that's what one of the older guys, he said, man, I always heard you get more yield in a crooked row. Yeah. Got more plants in there.
I remember as like a kid when I first graduated up to raking hay, the pressure was always on because whoever was running the baler, they wanted you to have long, straight windrows. You're like, oh man.
Yep.
And yeah, in some fields, like you really do, it's like, well, I don't even know which, you can get creative. Like, which way do I want to rake? And, yeah, you better not make the wrong decision there. But so got done with beans.
Got done well with the early beans.
The early beans, that's right.
Yeah, that's 220 acres down. And I kind of like, I really looked at the field when I was driving out of there because that's the last year I worked that. That's the farm that's going to be. I was thinking about
solar
it.
Panels.
Yep, that'll be one where, 20 years from now, my kids, or 10 years from now, my kids will be like, yeah, that place over there, I used to work that.
You might be having grandkids in the truck with you.
I was going to say in 20 years, yeah, I may have grandkids and be like, yeah, I used to work that place there. That was the best dang farm.
So yields turned out pretty good?
Yeah, it ended up averaging, mine cut about 62 bushel.
Yeah.
It's pretty dang good. And early bean, I think this is going to be a bean year. It's definitely not a corn year, but I think it's going to be a bean year.
By default.
Yeah, yeah.
This is not a corn.
But see, mine, that's what kind of was crazy. Those were early beans. So they were really in the peak of the drought. Like that was, when I told my crop insurance guy that, he was like, man, most people's early beans have been their worst because they suffered. And so they suffered.
They were blooming and all right there in the middle of the drought. Or I guess anybody who had any double crop beans, I bet that's going to be a tough one too because they would have been planting them right in the drought.
They
right?
planted them right in the drought, but then they started catching them rains, and I've seen some double crop that look really good.
Okay.
I don't know if it's like, I haven't researched this, but I know corn. You want to plant corn, and then you want to get enough rain to get them up,
and then you want
it to be dry for a little while.
See, the agronomist guys that I know say, early, or I forget the way they say it, but when it first comes up, it doesn't like wet feet.
Yeah, because it don't run its roots. If if it's dry, it'll drive that root on down. And so then you get into the later season.
But we typically, of course, I mean, we're planting corn when in like April.
Yeah.
And, it just rains and rains.
And that's why you're seeing more guys plant corn later and later and later.
Yeah.
Which these early beans, they were a testament to GMO crops. Like that's what I was like, man, this is a testament to our genetic modification. Like that.
Yeah.
Those beans
be able to withstand that drought.
Yep. They had a very strong drought tolerance. And I'll tell you, even the corn that is shelling 80 and 90 bushels, that's actually even a testament to the GMO, because some of that corn shelling 80 and 90 bushels, I mean, if we rewound the clock back to, the early 1900s, they weren't averaging 80 to 90 bushels on corn even with rain. Like,
yeah, even in a good,
a good year.
Yeah. What, so did you get started on corn?
I'm going to start tomorrow.
Okay.
Got the combine moved back today and kind of cleaned it up, and going to get it swapped over and start trying tomorrow. Moisture has still been high on corn, so I don't know. Heard a lot of guys still shelling 19%.
Which we're recording, I guess we'll mention to everybody, a couple days early. It's Tuesday, so
yeah,
you're going to be started, which when's...
Oh, yeah, I don't even have to edit this as soon as I get in. I can actually go to bed when I get in. You don't have to go to bed
as soon as we get done recording.
Yeah.
So you got contracts to fill by what, Friday?
Yeah.
So you'll have 3 days.
I have 7,000 bushel to fill by Friday.
That's what, 6-7 truckloads?
Yeah, well, I can't officially say, but it's a few trucklods.
Yeah, well,
because we're 80,000 pounds. If you divided the bushel weight?
That's one thing I never understood. You could put more bushel of corn on a trailer than beans.
It runs like water. It runs into the beans pile. Corn runs.
Yeah,
you can put. I've never done this. Not saying I've done this, but so. On our trailer, you can put 1,020 bushel of beans on it. And that same trailer will hold 1,250 bushel of corn.
See, the physics of that don't make sense to me.
Yeah, well, like
volume is volume.
And to me, a kernel of corn is larger than beans a lot of times.
Yeah.
But now,
even that shouldn't, but
here's another thing to think about. So the test weight on beans is about 50. They were about 55 to 56. Corn is about 61. So corn's heavier.
Yeah.
So that's where you're getting some of that, because it's broke down by weight.
But still, if they were totally true to, because bushel is a volume, not a weight. So it still doesn't. I know, because everybody knows. Yeah, you can put more corn on a trailer than you can beans.
Yeah,
but it's
it is backwards to me too, because beans are little. They're little balls.
We need a MythBusters or something to figure out how that works. Because the test weights and the way they're converting that to bushels isn't exactly.
I think it's the test weights, because it's a huge difference, man. We've hauled trailers where. I've got some corn, I've had corn where it'd be 61 on the test weight, and man, it's the trailer, you know it, because the truck will be, my truck, my Kenworth has a little airbag scale, and it'll when you got good test weight and you got a big load, because it'll be
you'll be right at that 80,000 pounds.
Right at 80,000 pounds exactly. But then... So it is the test weight that's making the big difference. But corn just flows. You'll see a lot of corn on top of combine cabs.
Oh yeah, corn.
Because it just literally runs like
cab
water.
Corn. What do they say?
Yeah, cab corn. And
you don't ever let that happen, do you?
Man, I really do try not to. Oh. My dad just. He'll let it happen, but he never cleans it off. I like to get mine off.
A lot of people, I'm they always think it's funny. I'm like, no,
that's money. That's money poured off.
Yeah.
No, that's where I'm like, stop before you get that full. You don't have to get that full.
Well, it's I want to get to the end of the road. Well, it's it does not do you any good if it's just running off on the ground.
See, my combine, that 680, that was one thing that I've realized. I thought it was taking me a long time to get a hopper at first.
It's just got a little.
but it's got a bigger hopper. And my 9770, I don't remember. I think it was about 250 bushel on beans, maybe. I can't remember for sure. One hopper. My 97 or my 680, a full hopper is like 350.
Dadgum.
And on corn, it's about 400 bushel.
Dadgum, yeah.
So you're loaded, man. Like I noticed because I was filling up the buggy quicker, and it's got a big, huge chain. I tell you, that is a bad son of a gun. Like,
what so yeah, so you feel pretty, you'll be able to get them contracts done and sneak them in the month of September.
It may take every bit of acreage that I have in corn to get them.
That's true. Yeah, you're gonna have to run.
Might take them all.
Hauling's usually your limiting factor in corn.
Yes,
though, right?
yes. I mean, because it's a lot of typically it's a lot of truckloads.
Right.
And we're having to go to ADM, which I like the people at ADM. The drive just sucks.
Is that where you got corn?
No, I will be able to go back to CGB now because they're only taking contract.
Dadgum. And so, did you have to finish up hauling your beans to President's Island?
Yep.
Only place it would take it.
Hales Point was closed at the time.
They were so closed, weird to me.
But they were broke down.
About that last week.
Hey, did you see that comment from the Virginia woman on our Talk to Her to Me video from last week?
I didn't.
All right, I saw that pop up. I'm glad you just reminded me. So she said something. It was about the truck driver. She kind of took what we said. I don't know that it offended her, but she took it a little wrong. Like how when we were talking about the granaries, it kind of blows our mind that they're not open more.
Right.
And she was like, it's not the truckers, and it ain't we're not talking about the truckers. The truckers are doing all they can do. What we're talking about,
we're talking about from the trucker's perspective. Yeah, the truckers want to haul.
Yeah.
And like you hear about, they'll be in line. I mean, I don't know about this year where they'll be like, no, this is the last truck we're dumping tonight.
Yeah.
And
they will. Like they will tag the last truck. So yeah, we weren't attacking.
So do some guys turn around and drive back home or just sit there and park for the night?
I don't know. Most of them turn around and drive home. I have heard of guys that would just go to sleep in the truck.
Yeah, I mean,
you think about.
When used to in Memphis, you had several right there together, so you probably just drive on up to the next one.
Yeah.
As long as they weren't.
Man, yeah, they'd come and tag you because we used to they'd be open till 7. Which ADM's open till 7. ADM's been rocking and rolling, man. They've been hanging in there.
Line's been long there since the only one open.
Driver's been sitting there. It's been taking 5 or 6 hours.
Round trip.
Yep.
So how long's that? He's sitting there waiting.
Yeah, it's probably, what is that? That was probably a 45-minute drive there, and then a 45-minute drive back.
So shoot, he's sitting in line
for what is that? 3 hours?
3-4 hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dadgum.
Well, dude, man, that really takes me back when Cargill was still open on 2nd Street. Used to, when they got slammed, because Bungie was right down from there. Man, when it was slam time and I was driving the Junkyard Kitten, and man, I'd get down there and it's Pear Street that's down there. I hated it, man. You'd come down the highway.
You could already see them backed up.
You could chance it. There would be 2 ways. Most guys we'd turn at Church's Chicken and go around.
Yeah.
Now, if you thought the line was going to be long, then it would benefit you to just go down Thomas Street and then you could come in the back way to Pear.
Yeah.
Well, I would chance it every now and then, and you'd get up there. Oh, and there was a few times where the line was on Pear and then back down Thomas Street.
Good
Lord. I sat in line for, I sat in line for 7 or 8 hours quite a few times. The worst is when you didn't have a phone charger, because I did at least, smartphones had come out at this point. So like I would I'd watch a movie. I'd watch a couple movies, but there was a few times where I'd get down there and I'd be like, oh shit, I wouldn't have a phone charger. and then I had no air conditioner in the truck. So you're like sweating your ass off and there's not a damn thing to do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that sucked. But so knock on wood, it has not been that bad really in a long time, but man, it was really bad at that point.
Well, at least getting those those contracts filled, they'll be able to, you'll be able to go to CGB. And
Yeah, they'll get them knocked out, but as soon as they're filled, it'll be the ADM. Now I just hope it's dry, because Dad was shelling dry corn, and then he got into some of the 20%. Had to quit.
so they had to stop.
Yep. And so, I don't know. I checked some. It was 16.6. I pulled some ears today and checked it. I still, 15 is what you want, but 16, I'm not going to get hit that bad.
Yeah.
But I've heard some guys today that were shelling corn. It was 19 something. They're like taking it and putting it in the bins, drying it, and then taking it again. I get, well, you got to do what you got to do, but that's a lot of expense wrapped up in that corn.
Yeah, by the time you've handled it that many times. And
Yep.
Not to mention the electricity running fans and whatnot. But, well,
I got a question from a listener, kind of. It ties in pretty well with this. I'm curious.
Well, get back. What was the woman from Virginia? She was just defending the truck drivers.
Kind of. She took it like I said,
but we're looking at it from the perspective of the truck driver, that we're frustrated that the granary is not there to unload them.
Yep.
But she
said here, all right, I got it. She said, I'm only 13 minutes in, so there may be a later addendum to this comment. LOL. Y'all are wondering why truckers and granaries aren't in tune with the seasons and plan seasonally for a sudden increase in workload. I personally know a few truckers working for a few different industries, and the reason you're not seeing a sudden surge of drivers working overtime in this particular area is because they're always working overtime. And then she kind of I feel like she kind of took a little jab at us. She said, as farmers of either livestock or crops, your workload is dependent on season. Animals and plants don't give an F if you're ready or not when they are ready. One of my driving friends reports he's never seen such high turnover rates after working in that industry for a couple decades now. And she said, I'm Texan. We know tacos, authentic tacos, can pretty much include whatever meat you want with the exception of ground poultry. I make ground beef tacos all the time. They're delicious, period. Smart woman.
We got a lot of common ground with her.
Yeah. Then she said, potential point of improvement. There's some audio feedback noise.
Yeah, we know.
Probably one of your mics. No, it's. I wish it were that simple, but it just needs to be cleaned up. And she has a question. In your last upload on Hurricane Creek Farms, you went over the price per head. Hold on, before I get I'll read that, but
I didn't realize this was such a long comment.
No, I didn't either. I kind of, I'll be honest, kind of glazed over a little bit, but we're not attacking the truckers, and farming is seasonal, but
the granary work is
pretty well seasonal.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, they're open 12 months out of the year, but they ain't unloading a bunch of trucks in February, March, and April, and really all the way up till you get into wheat harvest, which is really around end of May and June around here. And
I want to point out, as seasonal as farming is, every farmer I know works year round. Like, we're always working.
Yeah.
Like, it's seasonal. It just varies. My crops are seasonal. My dozer and track hoe, they don't care what time of year it is.
Yeah.
So, her question is, we're clearing that up. We are not attacking truckers.
No, and I know truckers are working overtime right now because there ain't many of them working. I mean, talking to guys that own trucking companies, them finding drivers right now is like pulling teeth.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the ground beef tacos, you're right on the money there. That's the only way. Question. All right, in your last upload on Hurricane Creek Farms, you went over the price per head profit on this year's steers.
Yep.
I wonder this is like perfect kind of tie-in with our other one. I wonder what equipment costs are averaged per year that might impact that. Curious about the same associated costs for crop side of things.
Yeah. So, when she's talking specifically just about my stocker steers, so for them, I don't have near as much equipment cost because I really don't feed them any hay.
You don't feed them at all, do you?
I take them a little bit of sack feed.
They don't even give you grass or anything.
Right, yeah, we just starve them.
They're just a bag of bones.
right. We hope they lose weight.
Yeah.
But no, and so I do clip my pasture, and I could figure out what I spend. I haven't, because that is a good point. 'Cause it's not like I don't have some cost there, and yeah, specifically like this year, I clipped those pastures one time. Of course, you got some fuel in that too, but yeah, that is kind of one of those hidden costs that I maybe didn't figure in. But of course, the tractor. I mean, I have the tractor anyway because I have to use it in the hayfield.
How does that work on cattle side? Do you with your tractor?
As far as what my cost is,
Do you break it down per acre or is it per head?
I mean, you can do it either way. I will be honest, I have not ever broken it down and looked at it like that, or you know, added in that cost too.
Yeah.
You know, we're fortunate right now with just the way equipment costs are. I almost look at it as, for my tractor specifically, is worth still pretty much what I paid for it. Now it will depreciate.
Yeah.
You know, you can't count on that forever, but yeah, and of course this year I had all the added cost and I bought my own hay equipment. But that was a kind of a calculated decision. I kind of got into the size where I couldn't, and then I had picked up some hay ground and I couldn't rely on other people to custom bale and all for me, or I at least made the decision that, hey, I like to run equipment.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's some of that in there too. But
Yeah.
yeah, that is a good question. That's something we had actually discussed off air, that we may need an episode to really look at that, because I think that is something that a lot of people overlook.
Yeah. Well,
I would
yeah.
say especially on the cattle side. I know on the row crop, you know, there are, especially maybe some of the bigger operations that really pencil it all out. But
I would say I would almost say it gets a little more dangerous on the row crop side, just because, I mean, man, the equipment is alluring. Like,
oh
you
yeah,
want it. I
Yeah.
mean, you want the stuff. Like
oh heck, I mean, it ain't no different for us. When I'm bored, sometimes I get on the internet and look at tractors.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean,
and like 99% of the time, I'm just looking, you know,
Yeah.
and daydreaming. But it's eventually, you know, I'll say, you know what, it's probably time to go ahead and trade in, upgrade. You know, I don't need to.
yeah. Oh, that was like that combine. I'm telling you, man, like I still, every day I get in it, I'm like, this is a bad son of a bitch. Like I'm like telling myself that every day now. And yes, see, and here's the problem. So I'm running a 2010 model MacDon header, and it's a good header. It needs a little TLC, which I got a new belt for the center belt, but it's a Draper header, 35 foot wide. It was great with the 9770 that I had, but this 680, man, she wants to eat. Like it wants to eat a lot, and this header, with some work, it'd be good. But I told Dad the other day, he was on the grain buggy for me because his corn is too wet, and I was like, man, this combine could handle a 40-foot header, and I was like, it could use a 40-foot, and I said, and if I had a newer one, I could run it even faster. And he was like, oh man, yeah, them new ones, man, they're badass. I know some people that got them, and both of us were like, hey, you know, I wouldn't mind getting a new one. Like, and so. It's really, that's where you guys get into dangerous waters, because the stuff is it's just badass.
What is a new MacDon 40?
$100,000.
See, that's insane.
Yeah,
that
$100,000.
is. I mean, it's obviously completely necessary, but it's basically an accessory.
Yes.
For your combine.
Yeah.
It cost $100,000.
Yep, $100,000. It's wild.
Just to put into perspective for some people that may be listening, that maybe don't, like, yeah, it's like Monopoly money. Like, it doesn't even make sense how much money.
That's that's another thing. Farming is kind of, it's why, you know, I think it's one of the reasons why, you know, you hear about a lot of farmers that gamble, like they have bad gambling problems, because, man, I mean, money really does lose a lot of its value to you. Like when you are buying, I mean, my used combine was knocking on the door. You know, I mean, we're very transparent on here. So, I mean, my 680 used, and it was nearly $200,000. Like, I mean, that's a $200,000 machine pretty much. And yeah, you're talking about like, all right, if I bought this header, all right, my $200,000 combine is running a $100,000 header, and I got like $100,000 planter, and tractor was $80,000. And so it's like, you know, and then you buy a farm, and maybe you buy a farm, but it's, $400,000. So I mean, like,
Well, yeah, and so yeah, then it gets to where when you're buying like regular everyday stuff, you're like,
well, what's $5,000? Shit, like
yeah,
if you,
yeah, and it's just like, yeah, and yeah, that's when it can get away from you.
yes, yeah, like
because yeah, everything's just like, well, I don't. What does it matter if I spend the extra money on this? Hell, I got a half $1 billion, or not half billion. I got $500,000 worth of equipment that
yeah,
I was driving just today.
yeah, yeah.
Just in 3-4 pieces of machinery.
It does, and it is kind of like I say, you got to try to reel yourself back in, because you'll even find like, if someone's like, man, if you do this, you'll make an extra grand. Like you'd almost be like, pfft. Like you're like, I don't give a shit about that. Like that's not enough to bother me. Like that ain't gonna make a big difference in my bottom line at the end of the day when you're spending. If I got $700,000 in expenses at the end of the year, what's $1,000?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean it's very dangerous, and that's where guys, I mean, and that's one of the things is I like, or I encourage people, man, kind of, make the stuff your own is kind of what I like. I remember when I bought my 9770, the new stuff had Bluetooth radio, and I wished that I had Bluetooth radio. So I put a Bluetooth radio on my 9770. Like, and I put my tractor's a 2004. I put a Bluetooth radio in it, and I put all LED, I talked about, I put all the lights are so bad on that tractor that they're badder than my combines. Like Dad came pulling up, we were running at night, and I had this 680 lit up like a Christmas tree, and I got full, and I could see these like blindingly like bright white lights coming up beside me, and I'm like, golly, that thing is bright. And he said, yeah, these lights are pretty bad on this tractor.
Well, I put new LEDs on my.
Are they awesome?
I have not run at night
since
the one night that I
should have drove it over here for the episode.
Yeah. We're recording. It's after 10 o'clock now. It was definitely after dark when I left the house. The one night that I was going to be running right up until dark, I would have had to run the lights. Was the night I tore up the disc mower.
Oh, the belts broke.
Yeah,
dang.
Burned all the belts off, and so I quit an hour before dark. I was dead in the water at that point. Yeah, that was the one night I was like, all right, I'm gonna try these lights out. But this last cutting of hay, I bet I'll get to it at some point. I think I'm gonna cut some hay tomorrow, but barring something crazy stupid happening, I'll be done well before dark.
Yeah.
And actually I have to be done before dark. The reason we're recording early this week is because my wife's going out of town. So I got to get done by tomorrow afternoon so I can get back on dad duty.
Yeah. Well, that kind of makes me think of something, because I'm talking about this machine. I had a guy comment, oh man, it was on one of my, we've talked about how we get some pretty idiotic YouTube comments on stuff. And I had a guy comment on one of them, and he was like, you ain't a small farmer. He said, you're running this was a 9770 at the time. He said, you got a 9770 combine. You're running a class 7 combine. Ain't no small farmer running a class 7 combine. And I can't remember what I wrote back to him. I think I wrote back, well, now I got a 680, so it's actually a class 8, so it's larger. But I was like, I said, it's relative. When I say small farmer, it's relative to where we are. If you looked at the statistics, what is the average farm size? Like 500 acres, 400 acres?
I couldn't tell you. Yeah.
It's not very many acres, but in our area, that's what, when I call myself a small farmer, I am talking about relative to our area, because I am a small farmer
comparing to other row crop farmers.
We live in an area where we have a guy that works, nearly 30,000 acres. We have several that work 15, 12, 10,000 acres. I'd say the average around here is probably pushing around 2,500 acres, 3,000 acres, maybe in that area. So on that scale, I am a small farmer, worked 1,200 acres this year. So that's where I'm at. Now, I wanted to add that caveat in there. Now we got a really cool question here. Now, the one on the equipment cost per acre, we got a buddy we want to bring in on that one. I think we've pretty well settled on trying that.
Yeah, we got an expert guy that pretty much what he does for a living is, I don't know how you'd say, but yeah, helps people plan out, work out budgets, market, all kinds of stuff. And
he manages their marketing.
I mean, that's what he does, and he understands the whole equipment cost per acre, what's normal, what's excessive, what's doing really well. On the row crop side specifically, I'll maybe have to dive into that more on the cattle side of things.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Well, we love listener questions. We were talking about, that's like, man, it's awesome getting questions. Any question you have, if it's on equipment, if it's on what's the, like some certain farm practice you have, what we think about a film. I don't care. Anything, man, we love to hear your questions. Let us know also, we are coming up upon Halloween. I'd like to do some cool, fun stuff the month of Halloween, October. Let us know if you got anything you want us to talk about specifically in there. So Grady Womble wrote us, and he said, "Hey guys, I have listened to all the episodes, and this is my favorite farming podcast." Now that is a great.
Mine too.
Yeah, same, man. That is how you start out one of these questions. So you're already off to a good start. I'm in my second year of row crop farming on very small acreage, but am hoping to expand next year. I would like to hear y'all's thoughts on whether it would be best for me to purchase a set of planters or harvesting equipment, corn combine, peanut combine, and etc. Which is more crucial, getting crop in the ground or getting crop out when the time is right, rather than depend on someone to harvest it on their time? Thanks, guys. So, it's a pretty dang good question. What do you think? I want to, before I share mine, I'll hear you out.
And see, and he mentioned peanuts.
I was going to say, I'll go ahead and tell you, I know diddly squat about peanuts.
Yeah, I like peanuts. I'm not a big peanut butter guy.
I'm not a huge peanut butter guy.
I love a Reese's peanut butter cup. I'm like, peanut butter and jelly sandwich, just not for me, but I love just like going to a baseball game and getting a bag of peanuts.
Yep.
But anyway, so I don't know how critical
That's how much we know about peanuts. We like to eat them.
I don't know how critical it is. Like when the peanuts are ready, you got to get them harvested right now.
Yeah.
But with that said, I would lean towards saying getting planted in a timely fashion is more important. I don't know. You're the row crop guy. What do you say?
Well, I'm proud of your answer, man. That's what you need a good harvester, but at the end of the day, if the crop ain't there, you ain't got to worry about the harvester. And so the planter, to me, the planter is the most crucial piece of equipment on the farm.
Getting it in the ground on time. Well, because like, I know beans, they can start popping out of the pod.
Yes.
Like literally the pods.
Yeah, you don't,
pop open and the beans end up laying on the ground.
Yeah.
Corn, it's not.
Corn can hang out, man. Corn can hang out a long time.
Like you see guys, like some ridiculous picture where they're like shelling corn like in the spring. Like,
yeah.
Like they just let it sit there.
Now, and that's got to have some damage. I mean, it's sprouted and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
But, it seems like maybe like up north where I guess it's so cold, like, it ain't going to sprout. But,
yeah.
You'll see them where I've even heard, and this may be completely off, but like if you got bad aflatoxin, if you wait until it gets real cold and freezes, maybe, I don't know. I shouldn't have.
I don't know. I know
if that can sometimes lower those toxin levels, and I don't know.
I know if you get out of line and go back to the back and start over again, sometimes that'll lower your levels.
Luck of the probe.
Yeah. But man, a planter is key. That's 100% what I would say. And
again, this is with us knowing nothing about peanuts, because them being a root crop,
needing to get them out of the ground.
Yeah, I could see where that might be. I would just imagine, not knowing anything about it, but them possibly starting to rot or turn on you if you didn't get them harvested in time.
I still think the planting would take the key, because you said,
I'm just trying to.
The 46, I'm telling you, a bean that is so bad to the bone, 46X6 Asgrow, man, that is the bean of all beans. You could plant that bean on the floor in here and it'd cut like 50 bushel. That bean is so bad to the bone, but if you don't cut it in like 2 weeks of it being ready, then like half of it will be popped out. Like it is a racehorse of a bean, and it will do good just dang near anywhere but it does not hold on to the bean. Like, and I've got a good bit of it. It's the first that I plant so that I can try to, as soon as it gets ready, I jump in there.
Yeah.
First I plant after it's the first of my normal season, not my early beans, but you want to get in there quick. Now they got a 48X9, I think, that's supposed to be like, it's supposed to be as good as a 46X6, but hold on. I tested it. We'll see this year. We've had years where they're like, this one's just as good, and it ain't the same. But 46, that, you definitely got to get the crop out. But a combine, man, I like, you want a good harvester. The best part about having a good harvester is so that you don't have to just, there's nothing quite as pleasant as just getting in your combine and just harvesting the crops and not having to stop.
The air conditioning. With
in the air
Bluetooth
conditioning.
Radio.
Yeah. You don't have to get out and work on it. Because we used to, I remember that it was either the 2388 or 1688. Can't remember which number it was. It was one of the red combines that they had years ago. And it broke down every day. Every day. Like, both of us were like, if we had a stick of dynamite, we'd blow this raggedy bastard to hell. Like, we just...
You're hoping for a fire?
Yes, you literally are. You're like, I wish this thing would catch on fire.
It catches on fire, and you see somebody with a fire extinguisher.
They're getting knocked out. Yeah, like, do not. So...
Which that's the general rule of thumb if a combine ever catches on fire.
Just get the hell out of there. Yeah.
You don't want to try to put it out.
Because
it's going to be so damaged. You don't want it.
Yeah.
You want them to total it.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, and people will try to get their header off or something, because a lot of times you got a good header.
Well, you got $100,000.
Yeah.
Get the header off, let the combine burn.
Yeah. But, man, the planter, I mean, and honestly, the second thing, I would almost rank the combine number 3 on the list. Number 1's the planter, and number 2 is your sprayer. You got to have, and maybe you custom hire the spraying. If you custom hire the spraying, it is what it is. But if you're all like, you got to get your own equipment, you need to rank it, man, planting and spraying, because if you don't spray the crops well and get them all that, you ain't going to have to worry about harvesting. Harvesting is the last. It's obviously very important, but it's the last line of the chain, man. Like, it starts there. Yeah.
And a lot of this will vary, I mean, even by region, because, I don't know, in some parts of the country, the timeliness of spraying may not be quite as critical as it is here. And even you could say that about planting and harvesting too, but yeah, just generally so I guess we were on the same page there.
Yeah. I'd go with a good planter. And you don't have to be crazy. I mean, get you a decent, I will tell you, I like a red planter. Red planters is what we've really found our home with those, and they're going to have issues. You're going to have to work on them, but you can still you can get a good combine today for relatively cheap. Like, you can get like a 90, you can get a 9770 like I had, or a 9000 series combine. I would try to walk the line. You mentioned custom hiring. I would look into that before, like, if you're working not enough ground to justify a planter and a combine, I'd get a planter first, and then I wouldn't buy like just a raggedy, junky combine. I'd probably try to custom hire it. Unfortunately, like I say, most likely you're going to be the last thing that they cut, because they're going to get their beans and stuff out first. But I would go with a planter, and then just work your way up and get you a combine, and try to get you a halfway decent combine to start. But planter is number 1 on the chain. Yeah,
I agree.
So we appreciate you writing in, man. We love the questions.
Yeah, that is a good one.
That is. I was kind of surprised when I read it. I was like, man, we've never talked about that before. But go, for people listening, talkdirtpodcast.com. Contact us page. That's where you can send us a question. You can message us on Instagram. You can write to us on the YouTube channel. If you hate the audio, bitch at Bobby Lee.
Yeah, we're going to work on that. We're actually, for this one, which it works out, because we're recording a couple of days early. So,
yeah,
like you said, you don't have to go in and.
I know. I get to go to bed.
The same way with me. I can spend a day or two kind of trying to figure out the audio.
Yeah.
Because it's not quite as simple. The audio you hear through the podcast is through these fancy microphones and everything. And we're trying to figure out how to make that easily tie in with the videos.
I want to streamline the process a little bit. If somebody wants to be an editor for free, then reach out to us.
Yeah.
We'll put your name at the end or something.
Give you a shout out.
Yeah, send you a hat.
Yeah.
If we ever get them. Have you got your stuff up yet? Did you get your website up yet?
And I was on my wife about it last night, actually.
Dang, man, I thought that was supposed to have been done like 2 months ago.
I think it was supposed to be done like 6 months ago. She's working on it. She's got a lot of other stuff going on. I understand. She has a full-time job, a mom, and me working basically 2 full-time jobs, or a job and a half anyway, with between the veterinary business and the farm. Yeah, she has more mom duties than maybe she otherwise would have to, but
understood.
She'll get it done maybe one day.
Understood. Well, yeah, man, that was like I said, that is a good question. And the one on the per acre breakdown, see that's when I was kind of like, man, that would tie in good with that one. We'll try to rope. It's our buddy Lee that we don't have to be sneaky or secretive,
Yeah.
but we've had him on before. Mason Dixon Whitetail works for Cargill, and he's
his day job, which I think he mentioned it on theirs.
Yeah,
he's a marketing specialist, and
yeah, I mean, and he's been, man, yeah, well, he told all that, been doing it a long time, so he knows, he sees, and to properly market, you should know your budgets. Like that, kind of the goal would be almost to contract enough to cover your cost, and then everything beyond contract would be profit. Like I've heard of guys that do it that way.
Right.
But to do that, you have to know what your costs are.
Yeah, they're contracted to break even, and then everything else is gravy from there.
Yep. Yeah. Hey, what you got?
Well, that was pretty good. I just looking at like local news stories, I always try to look at that and just be sure we're not totally missing out, which I know, of course, like the hurricane is a big thing in the news, which there really wasn't a whole lot on that. You know, they're worried about, of course, the citrus crop and all in Florida. But a current news story actually hit today, which I guess maybe it was just announced today, is that the USDA is doubling the funding for American-made fertilizer production grants.
Huh.
And so, Tom Vilsack, I guess, announced that, where, I don't know, it's a part of a bunch of things that the current administration is doing, but sounds like a pretty good deal. I kind of have a love-hate relationship with the government pumping a lot of money into anything, because I don't know, part of me's, we're blowing billions upon billions upon billions in Ukraine, so if we're just in the business of just blowing billions of dollars wherever we want to, then
might as well blow it on
let's
agriculture.
give $500 million yet to the farmers, or not even giving it to the farmers, but it's more grants to encourage production of fertilizers here domestically.
Yeah.
So, obviously with the idea,
Well, that is a good thing.
like if we've got more domestic fertilizer production, it won't cost us so much, and we won't be as reliant on imports.
Yeah.
So I think I do believe in the programs that make sure that we stay, food independent. Like, we don't want to ever be dependent on other countries to help make sure we can feed ourselves.
Yeah. Because that, I never realized that until actually, I think it was talk to JP Donnell on the other podcast, and he was like, he said agriculture is as much a part of the defense sector as military.
Well, national security, yeah, because part of me, just when I say a free market, well, screw it. If we can't grow beans as cheap as we can just buy them out of South America or whatever, then why we should just quit growing soybeans or whatever. But no, that's very short-sighted or whatever, because we get into a global conflict, or there's a global famine, all of a sudden, we can't feed ourselves.
Yeah.
What kind of a country are you? If you're just going to let people starve to death. So I do think taking measures to be sure we remain, I guess what food independent, nutrition
Yeah.
independent.
Yeah.
You always hear about energy independency. It's kind of a buzzword or a buzz phrase these days, but yes, that was a current news topic just from today. So I don't know. We'll see.
All right.
I'm sure a lot of that money will get wasted and
It'll go to WIC.
yeah, or what? No, so buddies of politicians will invest in fertilizer production plants now,
Yeah.
so they get a bunch of they'll siphon off a bunch of it. And yeah, it might lower our fertilizer costs by 10%. One day.
Yeah, I mean, and typically, a lot of times when they pump money in there, it just raises the costs of everything else. Like for the farmers, it kind of caught because
we just saw with all this stimulus money and whatnot. I mean, we just print money, just give away more money. Well, you know what? The value of the dollar goes down.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you got more money in your pocket, and it's
Did
worthless.
a ruble surpass us?
Hell, I don't know. Yeah,
I think I'd read something where a Russian ruble had surpassed the dollar.
I don't know about that. As far as yeah.
I did know a buddy of mine was in Africa, and he was talking about how even with as goofy as our dollar has gone, like the value has gone down with it, like in Africa, you're like a baller with American money.
So he was over there hunting, wasn't he?
Yeah.
See, my father-in-law was the same way when he and a group of guys went to like South Africa to hunt. Like, yeah, I mean, it's not that expensive really in American dollars. It's just our
it'll be like 20,000 cojones or whatever their income is, and it's like $7 American.
Yeah.
Like, did you ever watch Euro Trip? Do you remember the old? It wasn't Road Trip, Euro Trip.
So it was like the sequel to Road Trip.
I think so. It wasn't near as good, but
it was with none of the same actors.
No, yeah, none of the same.
Just trying to ride the coattails of.
Kind of like the American Pie.
I did not.
Well, there was a pretty funny part. They're in Europe somewhere, and they go to this like super fancy hotel, and the guy comes over there for a tip, the like bag man, and they give him a nickel, and he goes, "A nickel," and he goes, "I quit. I'll open my own place." And so he's like he literally is like, you thought he just got like $1 million, and because he walks up to the boss and he's like, "I quit. I'm opening my own place now," like off of a nickel. Yeah. So that's what I thought of thinking about that.
Yeah. Well,
what's the company, man? You got what's this company?
So I got the company today. Well, and I might lose my man card for this.
Uh-oh.
But it's locally made. But Buff City soap.
I had a feeling. When you were
we had talked off air. I was like, I got one, but it's kind of like I don't know if I might lose my man card. So for those of you that haven't heard of it, they're a chain.
Oh yeah, now they're big time. Yeah,
but they're locally owned. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
and it is all made like not just in the U.S. but right there in the store. Like almost every one of their products. So that's pretty cool. We've got one not far from us at all, and I was in there. Well, I guess it would have been just 2 or 3 weeks ago because I bought my mom a little gift box or whatever from them for her birthday. But yeah, it's I don't know if for those of you that have one in your area, and I don't know, when I think about this stuff, I'm like, well, probably most of the soaps even are, if you even just buy the whatever brand at Walmart or whatever, a lot of those are probably made in the U.S. as well.
I was actually surprised to see that. A lot of soap is American made.
But this is one that's, and I mean, obviously, like anything, little custom boutique kind of product, it's going to be a little more expensive. But it is actually made there in your local store by the young ladies typically that are, at least at our store, it's all ladies. That money is staying right there.
And you can order online. That's what I just looked up. You can order it online.
We've got one down the road. I don't use a lot of their product personally, but they do they have a shave bar, and for our YouTube watchers, I am bald headed, so I use that thing on my head every morning
to shave.
Yeah, I don't know about for face, but it is really good.
Would I get a lot of use out of it?
You would probably not. not in your current state, but for But I mean, I use it when I shave my legs too.
Yeah, I figured you did.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to say. When I shave my balls, I might would use it. You know?
There you go. It's like, yeah, you want to be careful.
Yeah.
But yeah, Buff City soap. If I lost my man card, you know, whatever.
Yeah. Well, you want to smell good. Smell
And they
good.
do have.
I was going to say there was a tobacco leaf soap.
Well, and obviously our audience, I think probably you might have the analytics on it. I would say we probably trend more male than female.
Yeah.
They do make male. You know,
Yeah, look-
men's. Their men's section of men's scents is like, you know, 5% of the store. You know,
Yeah.
it's obviously primarily targeted at
But
women.
look, I like this right here. So this is on their website, tobacco bay leaf soap, and then it says kind of a ruggedly fresh soap that smells like taking the back roads. Our unique blend of tobacco and bay leaves alongside hints of cedar wood and bergamot is the perfect way to end an adventure-filled day. And it says smells like tobacco and country roads.
Oh,
I want that bar of soap now.
of course, when you walk in the store, it's like 6,000 different smells hit you up. But yeah, like, I mean,
Wash that ash. I appreciate that.
yeah, well, I mean, when you walk over and you pick up a store, damn, that smells good. Like, I would say anybody. How my wife buys their laundry detergent. Like
Marcy did for a while.
Yeah.
My kids use they got little bitty, like one's a bumblebee, and the other one is a cloud. They're using it right now.
well, my wife does the same thing. Like, makes like good little stocking stuffer like stuff. And
Yeah.
but my son, he's the same age as your twins, and yeah, I'll find him in there in the shower, and he's like taking a bar of soap and like chopped it into like. I don't know what the soap costs. I'm like, yeah, damn it, that's a $10 bar of soap.
Yeah.
You
Yeah. They're about
ruined it.
$8 or $9 there.
Yeah, they're big, but yeah, I'm like, damn it. So I ended up taking it away from him. Make him use the cheap stuff.
Yeah. Well, good deal. Buff City soap. Yeah, that's a good one. And you want to smell
Local,
good?
yeah, especially if you got one in your local community, and you can look them up online and see if you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
buying as local as you possibly can. I don't care whether it's your food, you know, or your soap, or you know.
Nobody likes a stinky person.
No.
You know, like
I
you know,
think we can all agree on that.
yeah, yeah. BO, you know, if you smell like fried onions at the fair, like nobody wants to sit close to you.
No.
Your woman ain't gonna want to cozy up to you.
No.
So, well, man, I think that's a good episode there.
Yeah. We like I said, we got some ideas. Logan kind of hinted we've got a few ideas in mind for next month, because this will be our last one for the month of September. Yeah, I think this is episode 52. So
I think so. That's a year.
we
You're in the
haven't-
book.
I have to look back, because I guess
We missed one.
We did miss 1 week. You're right. So yeah,
Yeah.
but we've basically been doing edit for a year, which I guess when we dropped our first episode, we dropped the first 4 all at once.
Yeah.
So the
yeah.
dates may not show a full year, but yeah, you and I basically started recording these a year ago.
That's pretty cool. I forgot it was in October when we did the first episode.
Yeah, what did we miss a week for?
I think was I sick?
May have been. You had to do one solo
Yeah.
here just
'Cause-
recently when I had
yeah, you were-
mono.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, you did record though. We did have one that week. So,
Yeah. I think it was 1 week where I was sick.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I think so. I think that's what it was. But dang, yeah, that's
because
pretty
I
cool.
would not know how to do any of this by myself. So
Well, that's pretty cool. Forgot that we're at the year mark.
yeah, this is episode 52. So
Awesome. Well, guys, check it out. Oh, and you know, I did think about the only thing that stinks about doing the YouTube videos is our copyright stuff would get us.
oh yeah, if we playing some other stuff, yeah. 'Cause
Which, I
YouTube
mean-
will nab you on that.
Oh man, they're quick. Like, cause I had kind of thought about, you know, I
Like
was
if you
like,
got a song playing on the radio, and like you're in the combine or whatever, like sometimes that'll.
it got me on one of them. I had Africa by Toto
Yeah.
playing, but it was like, and it was super low. Like I had it turned way down.
Oh, I used one of my editing software, had just like a jingle, like it wasn't even a song you might have ever heard of. It's just like, I don't know, it's just instrumental thing. Like
Yeah.
while I had some, I don't know, something playing that didn't have audio, and heck, that video had been up for like 8 months, and somehow it was like,
You got flagged.
yeah, and I was like, what?
Dang.
Which I was able to edit and put different audio in there. Like YouTube's pretty good about that, but I was like, how on earth? Like I guess an algorithm. I mean,
I have.
It figures that out, but
That's what I've wondered.
because I do that all the time. Because when I'm using drone footage or whatever that doesn't have, like, I have music playing, like, wow, I guess that editing software. I would assume when I was using the editing software, you buy that software, you got the rights for the music that comes with it, but whatever. It may have been a mistake. I could have tried to like fight it, but it wasn't.
I did. I was going to say I fought one of them and won.
Yeah.
It was actually, I think, on the one where Dad and I were cutting beans in the river bottom, and I had the Flight of the Valkyries come in, like whenever it comes over the combine, it's like, bum, 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 like it coming, like makes me think of Apocalypse Now. Well, I had a subscription to Soundstripe or something, and they had a composed version of Flight of the Valkyries. So, I mean, I had bought the rights to use that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I put it on there, and I got a strike, and somebody was claiming that I was using their music. And so I've challenged it, and I even wrote in there, I was like, I bought this. Like, you could like give a description, and I won. I was surprised.
Well, good deal.
So, but yeah, guys, let us know some stuff you'd love to hear in the episode. If you got some weird farm stories you'd like for us, if you got a creepy farm story.
Yeah, we're going to try to do a Halloween type episode, or maybe even a 2 in the month of October.
If we get a lot of stuff, maybe we'll do all 4 in the month of October. Who knows?
Yeah.
Y'all send us. That's something that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, we love those ideas. We love questions. We're still working on like t-shirt ideas. We got one we think is pretty decent, but if you got kind of a funny, neat, maybe a little edgy idea for a t-shirt, let us know.
Yeah, let us know. Like I said, Talk Dirt Podcast, submit on there. Reach out to us on Instagram. But send us a scary, creepy story you've had on the farm, or question, or whatever. And if watch on YouTube, hit subscribe, hit like.
That's right.
Do the things that you do. If you listen, leave us a rating and a review, and let us know you left a rating and a review, and we will get you some swag whenever it appears.
That's right.
Take care.
Y'all have a good one.